one person in high school, he once said to me, you know, I think it's basically male oppression that you cover your face. And I said to him, well, if I'm oppressed, shouldn't I feel oppressed?
Another traditional form of hijab for women that's been part of Muslim society from the earliest days is niqab, covering the face. This was also the practice of the wives of the Prophet.
As I was growing up, the wives of the Prophet were always role models for me. I guess I wanted to be like them and to associate myself with them as distinctly away from the people that I see that are used as role models today. And I think that whatever was ordained on them is just as necessary on us. Honestly, I don't feel oppressed. And this is something that I did totally by choice. Actually, if you ask people who know me, I'm a very social person, so I'm not anti-society either. And I think it's limited perception to see somebody just judge them on the way they're dressed and say, well, they're anti-society or they're anti-civilization. I just look at the past, and the greatest scholars that we've had that have been most concerned with humanity were women. A lot of them were women, and a lot of the great scholars we have, they learned from women. And these women did total niqab and everything, and they contributed so much to civilization itself.
The hijab and the women who wear it remain largely misunderstood. Stereotypes of Muslim women are constantly reinforced by the media.
It's like a mantra over and over and over again, and there's so little research done by journalists, or if the research is done, it is very clearly non-sympathetic. It is not taken with the interest of trying to sort of put yourself in the other person's shoes, trying to be objective. It's there to reinforce this notion that we, I say that in quotes, as Western American or Canadian women are much more liberated than these poor, oppressed Muslim women.
The media will tell us that all Muslims with beards are terrorists and all women that wear the veil are oppressed and subdued and locked away in their homes, and that they have to live in a family with 3 other wives. We have to start to understand. We can't just accept all of these things for what they appear to be. And until we're ready to take that initiative, and until we're ready to go out and seek some knowledge, we're all trapped. Not only are we as Muslim women wearing the veil trapped, but you're trapped as well, because you're accepting this information without actually validating it or verifying it.
A lot of Westerners have the misperception that if I'm not covered, it means I'm asking to be attacked, or I deserve to be attacked. And we know that that's not true. The Muslim man has his right, his responsibility to lower his gaze, to dress modestly, to treat a woman with respect, and any woman who gets attacked is not asking for it.
I have heard from friends of mine who do live in certain places that they have had problems. But as I say, these are only in countries where there are other political problems as well, where the government does not allow a lot of freedom of expression, whether it is in dress or political views or the freedom to associate in whatever kind of group that you want. So as I say, I really believe that it's a political problem and it's not a religious problem.
So the role of images is very, very crucial in creating this stereotype of Muslim women as oppressed. As, for example, with the Bijan ad, the advertisement is done in a very clever manner. On the left hand, you have a Muslim woman cloaked in a black hijab. On the right, you have a white American woman featured in a baseball cap. And one is better than the other. The American woman is better than the Muslim woman. And how do we know that? Because she is, as the words describe in the advertisement, very, very Bijan, as opposed to the other woman who is not Bijan. So the image is very powerful in the sense that it contrasts what is acceptable and what is not acceptable.
The bias against hijab is also found in universities and colleges. Academics heavily influenced by the dogmas of feminism and Orientalism often present a skewed picture of hijab.
A lot of times I feel, when I'm sitting in these classes, and obviously I'm sitting there, and a lot of times you're the only person with the hijab on, and comments are made, and people will turn and look, indirectly at you or whatever. So for me, a lot of times I feel anger, in particular when the comments are dismissing, like, saying that we really have no substance. I feel saddened in a way that they don't even care to hear a response, and they won't take the time to find out what the truth is. It's not even of any relevance to them.
The minute I walk into a class on the first day of school of any grade, you know, there's always these misconceptions in the teacher's mind because they think that we're oppressed or that we don't know how to read or we have no educational goals, that we just want to get married or whatever. And when I speak to them in English, in accent-free English, I can tell that they're surprised. And when they read my work and they see, you know, that I can write, they're even more surprised.
For Muslim girls in particular, I think that we saw this in the way that they were channeled into different streams in high school. There's a perception or misperception that education is not valued for Muslim women. So consequently, a number of Muslim girls would be channeled into lower streams by guidance counselors who thought that, well, education is not important for these girls, let them take the softer subjects and therefore be in non-collegiate level streams.
They say, oh poor girl, you're so beautiful, you know. It's a shame that you cover up your beauty so.
Choosing to wear hijab can be a nerve-wracking decision for a woman in our society. The negative baggage around hijab often results in a great deal of stress for Muslim women. Some women begin to wear hijab in stages, not knowing how they'll be treated by their employers or their families.
I started wearing it just when I went to Muslim events and when I was out with my husband and when I was out with friends. And then one day I decided, okay, I'm going to wear it. And I was at home and I was going down to the local shopping centre. So I decided, okay, I'm going to wear it, and I was all alone. And it was like terrifying, I still remember. So you put it on and I remember walking, hiding. I didn't want anyone to see my face, because I was afraid if they see my face, they'll see how I'm dressed. And I went into the shopping centre and I paid the woman, and I was like hiding. I didn't want her to look at my face. And then I was walking home and I walked past the Toronto Dominion. They have their big windows, and I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the window, and I got a real shock because it's like, oh my God, that's a Muslim woman. And it was me.
The stereotypes are just phenomenal, the amounts of things that people begin to associate with you because you wear the hijab, and all of these things scared me. I was afraid. I remember the first day I put it on, I was terrified to leave the house. When I finally made my way to university, I hid behind walls. I didn't want to go to my classes. I avoided people at all costs because I was afraid of what they would think.
During my last year at Harvard, but halfway through, I decided to wear the hijab, and it sent shockwaves through my community, my academic community. At first people thought that someone in my family had died, so they were quite sympathetic, but I explained to them no, that this was my faith.
What I would do is a block before I would get to work, I would take off the hijab, and then as I was leaving a block later, I'd put on the hijab. So I sort of felt like this schizophrenic sort of thing going on, that I was not really truly being myself.
I remember the first day I went to work wearing the hijab, I was actually contemplating quitting my job. That's how afraid I was. And when I finally did make it to work, I had burst into tears. I was just a basket case. And my boss didn't make things any easier for me. He walked over and he said to me, "Who did this to you?" And I was just like, "Oh, what do you mean, who did this to me? I know this is a personal choice." And he just couldn't understand it. He didn't want to know. He said, "Well, why weren't you wearing that thing to your interview?" Because I had just recently got the job, and basically accusing me of not putting it on prior because I wanted to get the job, etc., etc., etc.
My professors were okay. What I did was I went in to warn them. I went in and told them, I've become a Muslim and next time you see me I'll be covering. And I targeted the professors that I knew I'd see the most. And how did they react? Well, they were all shocked, of course, but out of respect they tried to contain their shock. One of my friends, I heard on the grapevine, somebody told her, I never heard it, doesn't she know she's oppressed? Why is she dressed like that? And it just makes you feel really upset. Like, here you are walking around, I feel fine, I'm normal, and there are all these like rumours going on about how I'm stupid, I'm oppressed, I'm brainwashed, I don't know what I'm doing. It's very offensive, it's very insulting, it's very insulting on my intelligence and my integrity. But alhamdulillah, over time I've battled enough, and now I think everyone's used to me.